Let's talk a little bit about comparing. I once heard somebody say, and I thought it was brilliant, don't compare your blooper reel to someone else's highlight reel. What do I mean by that? Let's first talk about your blooper reel. Nobody knows your insecurities, your bad habits, your fears, your setbacks, your mess-ups, your failures, all that stuff, all the negative stuff that nobody likes to expose to the world. Nobody knows that stuff better than you do about yourself, right? So when we look at ourselves, we think we're full of all these imperfections and we have all this baggage and all this stuff that we do wrong because we know ourselves better than anybody. We see it and we live it, we experience it. If you sleep in and you have a goal to wake up at a certain time and you mess up your routine, like I did this morning, I'll admit, only you know about that. Maybe your spouse, but it doesn't really, nobody in the world knows about it. And you're the one that has to live with during the day, I didn't achieve my goal, or I messed up this morning, or I did last night, or this or that. You carry that around. Well, that's called the blooper reel. And that's what we perceive of ourselves. And I think social media is to blame in large part for this comparison game that I shouldn't say we all, but so many people have out there right now where they compare themselves to others because our blooper reel doesn't hold a candle to someone else's highlight reel. What's a highlight reel? Well, let's take a basketball season, maybe college ball or an NBA team, and they have a full season of games, right? They play, dozens and dozens of games. I don't even know what it turns out to be. But it's a lot of games. And each game is, 2 or 3 hours long. Well, every season, a lot of teams will create what's called a highlight reel, or these are the best of the best from season whatever, and they sell them, and it's a way for marketing and so forth. And you buy the highlights reel because it's all the cool stuff. It's everything that they did right all season long. So here's one of the best dunks of the whole season, and that one time when he came up and this guy went around and he dribbled, he went through the guy's legs and underneath and just spun around and went up and did that layup, and oh my gosh, I can't believe how that, and then the pass and the steal and the this and the that, the blocks and the three-pointer at the buzzer, and then swoosh, it went right in, they won the game, and everybody was up cheering on their feet. Those were amazing moments, each one of them, and they just grab those highlights all the way through. And you see the highlights reel, and you can think any team is amazing, right? Any team can look fantastic if they have a highlights reel, if you watch them and judge them by the highlights reel. Well, what we do in our lives a lot of times is go around and judge our bloopers reel, because that's what we know most about ourselves. You almost can't, because it comes the good with the bad. We know all of our stuff. You can't not know it. You can't unknow it. So we judge ourselves through a certain light, and we compare others through the light that they show us on their highlights reel. And what is a highlight reel? Not in a sports team, in real life? Well, you and I, we have our highlights reel on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, maybe not so much Twitter, Snapchat. Those are the highlights reel, because why? We're posting all the fun stuff, right? I got a new this, and this is my new car, or went on vacation, or I did this or that. We show the world our highlights reel. We show people the best of the best. And so when we see someone else's feeds, we think that's their world. And we don't know all the stuff that they know about themselves. And so it's not right and it's not fair, and you're always going to be disappointed judging yourself to others because you don't have a true insight. It's not an accurate comparison. You're doing apples to oranges. It's not apples to apples. So compare and despair. I had a mentor once tell me that, and it stuck with me. Compare and despair. You will always despair because you're comparing yourself, and it's not a fair comparison. So what I want to end on is just this, that when we compare ourselves to others, we always come up short. The best thing to do is compare yourself to yourself yesterday. Now think about that. That's the only fair comparison you should be doing. And don't worry about anybody else. And I know that's hard. It's hard because you see these feeds, and that's some of the dangers of social media. Not social media is all bad. You just have to be aware of things, and you have to hold yourself to a different standard. Once you're aware, you can give yourself permission to opt out of different ways of thinking and different ways of noticing things on social media that a lot of people are not. So first step is to recognize, hey, it's not right. I'm not going to compare because they have their problems. They're just not posting them on social media. And maybe you're following people that just post problems. I don't know. That's a whole different topic. But a lot of us like to post the best of the best, the highlights and the great stuff. So don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to yourself yesterday, because that's really what matters most. How much better are you doing than you did yesterday? What improvements have you made on yourself since yesterday? How have you gotten a little better, a little stronger, a little more committed to your goals, a little this or that? What have you done since yesterday? And that is the best comparison that you should be making.